If you're the chief architect, if you're leading an enterprise architecture team, you probably have asked yourself the question, if you're typical, why don't people pay attention to me as much as they ought to? What do I need to do to justify my existence? How do I explain the value of enterprise architecture? Because a lot of people don't seem to get it. There's some good answers to that. In this series of videos, I will try to explain not just the questions, but something about the answers. But let's start with this fundamental question. Why does nobody listen to the EA team? What's the problem? What are the main mistakes that people make that lead them to ask that question? One of them is starting with frameworks instead of business problems. There's a very important teaching point in the TOGAF practitioner course, which is that people don't want architecture. Your stakeholders don't want architecture. They want professional advice. All of the architecture work that you do is designed to make that advice good and useful and comprehensible. If you talk to them about architecture jargon instead of talking to them about business problems, they will go to sleep. I worked with an architecture team that was latched onto TOGAF, good idea, and one of the people, when they were building the team, brought me a list of architecture principles, and they said, look at these architecture principles, and look at this big picture we've drawn about all the flows and connections for architecture governance. That's all very important. Part of our job as enterprise architects is to perform architecture governance. And so we do need a framework to describe architecture governance that says, how does this work? What are the actors, the roles? What are the activities? What does architecture compliance look like? How do we assess that? That's all great. Very few people care about that picture. Almost nobody needs to know that you're using TOGAF or DODAF or some other framework. People don't care about that. Having a well-crafted list of architecture principles is very important. Putting a big badge on the top of the list that says the architecture principles is actually less important, because the only people who are expected to know what an architecture principle is and what it's for are the architects and the architecture board and the people who approve them. But for the average person engaging in architecturally significant decisions, they need to know that this is a set of rules. We happen to call them principles, but the point of the rules is these are guides for you to make the right decision, and we expect you to know about this and take it into account when these kinds of decisions come up. Because, principle number one, cloud first, maybe. Why do we do this? Because the board of directors has made a decision based on the business outcomes that the business cares about, that we should try to put things in the cloud when we can, and here are the reasons, and here's what you have to do about it. Posting a list isn't very interesting. Telling people to go look at a SharePoint site so they can learn what's expected of them isn't very useful. What is important, I tell people who are taking my architecture training or taking my architecture advice in an advisory service, like helping to set up an EA team, is that architecture is about people and it's about money. It's not about technology. It's not about diagrams and models. It's not about tools. It's primarily about people and about money. You need to focus on the people, the stakeholders, the ones who are trying to get something done in your enterprise. Even if your enterprise is a technology company and what you're doing is technology, the business outcomes that they're looking for are not technology outcomes. They are things that they will measure in dollars. These could be the answer as to why nobody listens to you. Talking to people about frameworks instead of business problems. Nobody cares that you're using a framework. What they care about is, can you help them to be more successful? Mistake number two, using technical jargon when talking to business leaders. They're not interested in that. Nobody wants an architecture. They want sound advice. They want solutions. Mistake number 3, focusing on documentation instead of on people. A common mistake that we teach people about in our training is saying, oh, I see we have a problem, I will go and make some diagrams. That is not the job. The diagrams are there to help you do the job. You get in the bus to hear the bus driver tell you about the dials and the pedals and how the tires are. You don't care about that as long as it's safe. You care about the journey. Just the same in architecture. Are you asking people to follow rules without telling them why? Good governance doesn't happen because you lay out some rules and then go around punishing people for not following the rules. Good governance is where the rules are few enough to be governable and that they make sense to people. We measure effectiveness of governance partly by the willingness of the people in the organization to follow the rules without being followed around. If you can focus just on not doing quite so much of those 4 mistakes, you will have a lot more influence. People will pay a lot more attention to you. Focus on outcomes. Make sure that your communication style matches the audience. Don't talk to the network engineers about the corporate motivations any more than you need to, and don't talk to the corporate leaders about network engineering more than you need to. Make sure you're telling the story that makes sense to your audience. Whatever you do, connect them to business goals. And before you even do that, make sure you have built the right relationships. Thanks very much. See you next time.